Welcome back to another episode of the Armchair Pundits Weekend Review Show. And it has not been a great weekend for me. Not sure
Wipe
about
that,
Lamont.
wipe that smile off your face finally, blood.
Nah, I'm still smiling. We're 11 points clear. We started the weekend 12 points, and
Yeah,
ended at 11 points. So it's not a disaster.
yeah, no
So
surprise.
I'm not too bad.
Nelly FC
Hmm?
couldn't take
Capitalize.
control. Yeah, couldn't capitalize over that situation, unfortunately.
Yeah, and obviously Leon getting a correct score and his team winning is somewhat better than what last weekend one was anyway. I'm not saying it's not gonna be great. I know Leon.
Haven't you haven't said something that you normally ask a question at the beginning of the
Yeah,
show?
I don't mind. Hands up if you won this weekend.
Hands up if you got, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I put two hands up. Yeah.
Imagine he put
That was
two
not
hands.
here, innit? That was not
Ah,
here. I got rep.
I hear that. I hear that.
Boy.
We
But
take
yeah.
anything.
Anyway, guys, don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe, and to hit that notification button so you can get what we post straight away. All right. So, as we always do, we'll start off with our predictions for this game week that we did last week, and we had a correct score, and we had some correct results. So, Lamont said 2-2, so he got the draw right.
Got the draw right again. I got the result right, but not the actual scoreline, which is frustrating to say the least. But yeah, man, draw.
Bevan said 1-0 Arsenal um, against Everton, but it was 1-1. Leon was correct. He said 3-1 Spurs. And I was wrong on all counts. I said 2-1 Liverpool, and we lost 3-1, obviously. So,
3-2.
no, 3-2
Three
straight.
two.
We
Yeah,
lost
three
3-2.
two.
We lost 3-2. So, yeah, not great, not great. But we'll then move on to how it's going to run. So, the rundown of the show. Start for Liverpool losing, as I'm sure Lamont will be very happy to talk about.
Yeah, bro, you guys are woeful.
Everton Everton beaten. I'm getting this all kinds of wrong. Everton drawing with Arsenal
I think that's
1-1.
hopeful, isn't it? That's why, James.
And the 0-0 draw at Old Trafford. And then finally, Spurs winning 3-1 against Southampton. So we've lost 26 games unbeaten. That run has been snapped. And our first defeat away from home all season. So when I put that all together, I'm not that annoyed at the result. The performance of the first half was horrid, absolutely horrid. When we went before we went 1-0 up, we didn't deserve to be 1-0 up. It was a fantastic strike from McAllister, which he's done before against Fulham. And then you sit there and you think, okay, cool, we've taken a lead. Can we now settle down? Can we take control of this game? But then we don't. We concede, and then we concede, and it's that flip sake, man. And I'll be honest with you, I was chatting in my WhatsApp group, and I was like, "There's no way we're winning this game. At best, we could get a draw, but we're not scoring 3 second half goals." The way we were playing, I just couldn't see it happening. Half time, I thought he's got to take off Sabozlai. He was playing awfully. Like, wasn't happy with his performance whatsoever. His other guys he could have taken off. He probably could have taken off everyone apart from um, McAllister. If I'm being completely honest with you, so disappointed at the first half performance. Also disappointed with Kelleher. Bit worried, if I'm honest, because when Allison went down with the head knock in international duty in the first game, they said it's not too bad. It should be fine. And he's now missed 2 subsequent great games, so it must be a serious concussion if he's gone past the 10-day notice period and he's still not available to play. But usually you can rely on Kelleher to come in, do the job. But I
Yeah,
think he should have
he's
stayed
a
at
good
least.
understudy, isn't he? He's a good
Yeah,
understudy.
very. But at least one of the goals, the third goal, I definitely think he should have got a foot to or something to and stopped. Even the first goal, there's the Session goal. Like I thought,
Near,
can
near,
he
near
get there?
post.
Yeah, can he get there? The second goal, it hits Robertson and it diverts
To
the
be
bucket.
fair, I
So
think Sigurdsson, I think Sessegnon, his one, he shot early.
it was power. Yeah, it was power.
Yeah, and it was
It was
powerful.
surprise.
So yeah, I feel the element of surprise killed Keller. To be fair to you,
Yeah, but the
but
third
just
one, I think he should have stopped.
yeah, yeah, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, though, innit? I think overall the Liverpool performance wasn't great, so I feel
No.
like that probably just topped it off. Really, the fact that the keeper couldn't help you guys like he has done in previous
Hmm.
times, because that's when you really noticed that Kelleher was standing up. When you
Yeah,
guys were struggling to perform on the pitch, he was kind of making saves and putting the gusto back into the players outfield and say, we got to
yeah,
grab a
keeping
goal.
us
And
in the game.
yeah, and you guys go on and win it like you have done in the last, couple of months or last 26 games, let's be honest. But you haven't been bad for 26 games, but you get my drift.
Mm.
Just talking about Allison, I did hear that, Slot just basically said as soon as the protocol for the
Yeah,
concussion has passed, he's going straight back in. There's no
yeah,
two ways about it. So,
yeah.
like you said, it is probably something a little bit more serious than what we probably first thought when you saw, the incident. But yeah, hopefully, there could be more points dropped towards the tail end of the season, and it can be a little bit more of a challenge for you guys, because up to now it has been a little bit of a walk in the park. Let's be honest.
Liverpool never do anything easy ever, but every Liverpool fan always says we never do anything easy. So obviously we'll talk about our next game after, but I do expect us to bounce back on Sunday, and all our games are now Sunday to the rest of the season. So we get that week to prepare. I don't know if that's good for us. I think our players are used to every 3 days rotation kind of thing. But the last thing I'll say before I let one of you guys continue, if you wish to, is I've said it multiple times. Slot needs to trust the rest of the squad because Elliot has not started a single game this season. Yes, he was injured for quite a while, but Szoboszlai has faltered on numerous occasions, and Elliot should have stepped in and got a starting performance. Even at right back today, Jones started. Possibly we're away from home. It was risky to play a midfielder right back when we've got Quansah that hasn't done great. I'm not gonna, but would have been more solid if we had Quansah, and then we could have gone attacking later on in the game, kind of thing, because we had Bradley on the bench. So I think he made a couple of errors in that regard, and Gravenberch or Gravenberch, however it's pronounced, he wasn't good today because he's been running to the ground. He's literally started every single game this season in the
I
league.
think that could be. I think that could be the message. You could, I think that's the comment you could make about most of the players today. If I'm going to be quite honest, I mean, even with, I'm not too sure what goal it was. It could have been the second goal when Robinson decides to pass the ball across the box
Yeah, second
from
goal.
about 20, 25 yards. Can't see Iwobi standing there. I mean, really,
Yeah,
you could argue that's a bit complacent, but if
he's
he's
been rotated. There's times where Simic has played instead
this
of
is
him.
it. This is it. So you just don't do them things in the moments in the game. It's not like you were up by 3 or 4 nil and you just having a fool around or playing around and trying to ping a pass. Nah, you don't do that, man, in any point of the game. So I feel like all of that just kind of reinforces the fact that there was tired legs. Salah couldn't do his magic that he usually does to get you guys out of dodge.
Mm.
Jota had a chance late on that you and I both know.
He normally
Jota,
scores. Yeah,
yeah, Jota
it's
the
called Jota the
Slaughter, as you
Slaughter for
guys.
no reason.
This is it, Jota the
For
Slaughter, as
that
you call.
reason.
So you'd expect him to put them ones away, but I guess to take it with his left foot instead of trying to go outside of the right boot. Keeper's made a great save. So yeah, man, I feel like based on you guys' performance today or your performance, I do think you deserve to lose. I don't feel like you should have got anything out of that game, even a draw, because Fulham were up for it. Don't get me wrong, there were some points where they dropped off, but ultimately, they looked like they were up for it from early on. And you guys, as Bev mentioned before, you just didn't. The first half just wasn't. You weren't doing enough for you to be even in the game. So
Yes,
yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. Although I would say second half was completely dominated. and we missed that. Obviously, like Elliot hitting the crossbar.
Oh yeah.
So we could have, but with the potential penalty early in the game, which Marco Silva was furious about, which I don't think was a penalty personally.
Oh, what when Kelleher came out? I think it was Pereira in it.
Yeah, Pereira already passed it. He already passed it. He made the pass. Then there was the collision after the pass, and then Van Dijk and Muniz collided into each other. Like they met the same space at the same time. If they would have given it, I would have been like, "How on earth could you give that?" But
Wait.
I don't think it was a penalty.
Muniz and Van Dijk collided into each other, or Van Dijk pushed Van on the floor?
No. The Muniz and what do you call it? They literally ran into each other at the same time. For that incident, they ran into they got to the space at the same time and they ran into each other.
No, Van Dijk pushed him down in the box another time, Leon. They let that one
Yeah,
pass as well.
you're probably thinking of a different
That's
incident.
in the same game. They didn't get a penalty for that neither, but we'll move. We'll move. Van Dijk, his shield must be on 98 because he's untouchable, the geezer.
James, you don't remember that one, but prior to the recording, what did man say?
That wasn't a push. No, you're talking about the elbow. There was an elbow.
I'm talking about man pushing.
I was talking about the elbow. There was a swinging arm from Van Dijk. I think he got Sander Berge in the box. That's what I was talking about. I don't remember the Muniz push. In all honesty, I remember the Sander Berge, and I was like, that's a bit risky because he swung his arm like that and he moves his body.
Yeah, it was intent. It was intent.
So, yeah, a lot of people will say he's very, very, very lucky to get away with it, but he did. But back to the matters on hand. We lost the game 3-2. First defeat in 26 games. On to the next one. Like I said, I'm happy. It's still 11-point gap. And we've got, 8 games left? 7 games left, sorry.
It's the story of the season for Arsenal. Literally, every time Liverpool drop points, they've not capitalised.
Nope.
And it's literally handed the title to you. I mean, Fulham deserved the victory, I think, from the way they obviously put it on you in the first half. But Liverpool found themselves in this position a number of times this season and managed to come back and overturn it. But I think 3-1 was just a bit too much. And it was just the fact that you had scored first and then Fulham scored their 3. It was like, what's going on?
That's the first time ever. First time we've ever scored first and conceded 3 goals in the first half.
Well, there you go. So it's an unusual occurrence. And the fact that Fulham responded in that manner in the first half was impressive. And I guess you could say that they owed you one for a couple of escapes that you guys have managed against them in the last couple of seasons.
It was 2-0 up. They were 2-0 up at Anfield, and we came back to 2-2 that day. So
you're close to doing the same thing today, boy.
But yeah, anyway, that's it for us. We'll move on to the Everton Arsenal game, where was it a penalty?
Nearly FC striker again, bruv. It's the truth. I knew they were going to bottle it against Everton. Even when Bevan said last week they were going to win 1-0, I'm like, that has draw written all over it. I don't know why. Because Moyes managed to get a performance out of these guys against all the big teams, but, against, when the odds are against them, Moyes has managed to kind of get them to perform. Do you know what I mean? And I think it was a penalty, personally. You're talking about the one on Beto?
Yeah.
On Beto?
No, the actual penny they got given.
Oh, okay.
Against Harrison.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a penny. Skelly, I don't know what he was doing, bro. He's falling all over the guy's legs, man. He's impeding the guy.
Yeah.
He's impeding the guy.
In the box. Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen, isn't it?
Do you know the problem is they were both trying to basically shield each other away from the ball. You could argue that it's a 50-50 where they're both kind of trying to do the same thing. But the problem is for Skelly is that because he falls over and then stops Harrison from then going to get the ball in stride, he's kind of impeded him. So I understand why, from his perspective, he would have felt that it was a harsh one because we've seen it's a soft pen. Let's be real. It's a soft pen. It's a very soft pen. And Arsenal will always feel aggrieved because they will say that these decisions go against them and other teams get favorable ones, no names mentioned. But it's one of them where you have to be careful when you're dealing with players going into the box like that. And yeah, you you're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
So,
They did.
go on.
I was gonna say they didn't really look like they were gonna kind of rise up after that. Anyway, to be fair, it was a very kind of nothing game.
It's
It
a
wasn't
type of game that Everton like thrive off. Like they like to not have the ball. They like to defend deep. They like to ask teams to try and break them
break them
down so they
down.
can counter
Yeah,
Hmm.
attack. Because let's be real, if you look at Everton's even their midfield, there's not a lot of creativity there. You've got
yeah,
Endai, and pretty much he is the lone wolf in trying to create something. Jack Harrison is he's a decent winger, but he's not someone that you would associate with getting a lot of goals or assists or creating something out of nothing. It's not really him. And they missed Dwight McNeil, who contributed a lot at the start of the season, but got quite a bad injury. He just come back. So
Yeah, he
for
came off
Everton,
the
it
bench.
plays into their hands to say, "Go on, Arsenal, do your thing, and try and break us down." And because Arsenal obviously you've had injuries and Saka's coming back. They don't have a striker. Like effectively, you're not making the Everton defenders have to work hard enough because they don't have to worry about Marino or Trossard giving them the same kind of problems that a proper striker would. So
But I think at the same time, Arteta didn't give it the 100% either, because obviously Saka's only just come back, so you don't really want to start Saka, but he makes what, two subs at halftime with Gabriel and Saka coming on. So Gabriel, so Martinelli. So he could have started Martinelli. In all honesty, if we really wanted to go for it, if they were, I'd say if
if they were
they were
six
three
points
points,
behind in the
yeah,
league,
if
they
they were
would have
three
gone
points
for it.
behind
Let's be
us, yeah,
honest. Like as
yeah,
much as they can say, whilst it's mathematically possible to win the title, we're still gonna try. They've got their eyes on this Real Madrid game
yeah,
because
yeah,
yeah,
this is like honestly, this is an audition for Arsenal. Are we really about that life? This is their chance to show whether they can mix it with
yeah,
the big boys in Europe because this is the trophy that they don't have. Obviously, they want to win the Premier League, but that ship is almost sailed now. 11 points clear with 7 games to go is it will take a catastrophe for Liverpool to lose it from this position.
yeah,
So this Real Madrid match, I think, is gonna say a lot about where Arsenal are in their journey and whether they can really compete or whether they need to go back to the drawing board and rethink how
I
they're
think
how
a
they're.
bonus for them was that Kivio had a really good game.
yeah. He did.
That's a
Mhm.
big bonus. Just
Yeah,
a game just before that, but at the
But
same
not just
time,
that, because Ben White's come
yeah,
back as well
exactly. I was going
because
to
it
say
means that they've
they can
got the
play Timber
option of
centre back.
having him as a centre back or Timber
Mm,
because either both of those
Tim-
players are actually naturally centre backs, not
yeah,
yeah,
fullbacks. It's
yeah,
just that they don't have the same height as a QVO or Gabriel or Saliba, so
you don't
they've
really need
got
that height against Real Madrid.
they shouldn't do. They need to
You
worry
need the
about
pace.
pace.
They
That's for
need
sure.
about
Hmm.
pace, bruv. They better be massaging their hamstrings all week because it's going to be a problem, boy, and their groin muscles, mate. Pause. Because come,
I'll be honest.
come that
I don't
Madrid
see
game,
Ben White playing right back
nah.
now. It's
I don't know who
definitely
they're
gonna
going
be
to choose.
Timber.
It'll probably be Timber. Yeah,
Timber's
it'll be
playing right
Timber.
back, bro.
Yeah, because he'll go through Vinicius 100%. He'll finish him if he tries to do any jinky me jinkies near him.
For real.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, since Bevan's not here, there's not much more that we
nah.
can go on
I know
about
he
that
would have
game.
said it was. I know he would have said it was a dead game anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely, they've given up on the league just by that performance and also the team selection. They're not thinking about the league anymore.
Yeah.
That's Liverpool's to lose now, as they say.
So in that case, we'll move on to the Manchester derby. Man United nil, Man City nil. What's your view?
Well, I called the draw, and I
We're
called
gonna
the
be an
draw.
entertaining draw rather
Not yeah,
than
not a board draw.
Nah, not a ball draw, but I called the draw just because I had a feeling that City wouldn't necessarily be the City of yesteryear, which we know that they've not been like that this season. And also, United in this current transition have somehow been able to kind of raise up the raise the performances up a little bit. It was a boring game in total. There was a few kind of little glimpses of progress, but nothing to really write home about. We had a couple of good chances we had one chance in the first half, and a couple in the second half that I would say, realistically, any of those goes in and we'll probably walk away with the game because City weren't looking at it. Foden was definitely his light has been out for a while, and it showed today. He had a couple of chances where he'd come in on his left, and you think, all right, he's going to lash that now. It's going in the back of the net. Didn't even hit the target. He had a chance in the middle of the box. He decides to take a touch. And I think it's Mazraoui gets in there, just gets his toe in it to poke it out for a corner before Foden's able to get his second touch, which would have been a strike in the 6-yard box. Onana was rooted on his line, so, he would have probably finished that. But yeah, outside of that, the first half it was a bit of a stalemate, I think Dogu had, a chance in the first half. He took a touch. It was a little bit of a heavy one. I still feel like he's still finding his feet in the Premier League, but he looks like he's going to be a player. Like, honestly, I don't think anybody could look at Dogu and say, you know what, fitness-wise, the guy's getting up and down, he's physical, he's quick, and he can read the game pretty well. But I feel like he just needs to get used to the rhythm. I feel like he'll be one to watch for the fullback scenario. But yeah, just going into the second half, I think we made a couple of changes. I was a little bit worried when Lindelof came on because I thought to myself, oh, here we go. We're going to give them a go here because the guy decides to make some really dodgy decisions when the games are tight. He did make one, but he didn't end up paying for it, thank God. But I think Xerxes and Ugarte came real close in the second half. Xerxes one, the keeper made a save in the 6-yard box. Xerxes just first touch and tried to put it top corner. And Ugarte had one from just outside the box. A little slicer, went past the post.
Mm.
But again, those are just like, little...
Needs to be more clinical.
Yeah.
They had that 2 shots on target the whole game and you're at home, innit?
This is it. So there's still a lot to work on. I'm just clutching at, it's the scraps really, innit? That's what I'm looking for, just scraps at the moment. So little glimpses, nothing really to write home about. But if I'm honest, I feel like we should have got a penalty in that game. And it was a challenge on Casemiro. You might say, in this current game, bro,
not for me.
He's kicked him on the outside of his boot. It's a penalty. End of story. We didn't get it, which I don't expect we would, because if it's United and we're in turmoil.
At Old Trafford.
Well, stranger things.
Times have changed, boy. I love it.
So, but yeah, man, it ended 0-0. I don't think, anybody will walk away from that feeling too disappointed. Obviously, we would, because we want the points, as many as we can get. But in terms of how we performed and just walking away with a point, I think you just got to say, you know what, on to the next one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man City weren't much of a threat. They obviously had more chances.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a case where it was like they battered you for periods of time.
Nah.
It was just some shots on target here and there. I think they had one big chance. You had one big chance.
Yeah.
Overall. And that's about it.
I mean, Garnacho's chance was probably the best out of all of them because it dropped to him in the 6-yard box. And I don't know what he didn't do, but I think he might have saw it late. And that's why he kind of scuffed it. But that was 1-0. And that was in the first half. So that in itself probably would have changed the game and probably upped the tempo a little bit. But obviously with De Bruyne saying that he's leaving this season and stuff, there was a lot of...
rise for him, innit?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? There was a lot riding on this game for City not to lose it, So I felt like, this could be a naughty result here if we're not careful. But yeah, we managed to just keep it solid.
Okay. Well, apart from Marmoush's nice chance, not much for me to be excited about in the Man City game. So we'll move on. Move on to the last game of the weekend for us. Spurs winning 3-1 against Southampton and in turn relegating Southampton, who are on 10 points and are currently, as we stand, the worst team statistically in the Premier League since its inception. And they need one more point to avoid that and to join Derby. Tottenham didn't help them with that, as they should have. How was the game, Leon?
It was okay. It wasn't a great game. I think the first half was better than the second in general from both teams, if I'm being honest. the atmosphere was very subdued. I think there's a lot going on with the Levy protests and Enid protests before the game. So the atmosphere in the stadium was pretty dim, if I'm being honest. But the game, I mean, Tottenham, fair play. Brennan Johnson got two goals fairly. I would say, what, in the opening quarter of the, oh no, the opening half, well, half of the first half, and two, pretty standard Tottenham goals, if that makes sense. Like, we play a lot of those 1-2s to the byline, crossing the ball, someone attacking in their post. It's kind of the way that we do things. And then Brennan Johnson's second goal, which was I think it was James Madison got a header, looped back into the box, and it was a nice little tidy little flick from Brennan to score his second goal. But yeah, it wasn't an amazing game. But we'll take the 3 points right now. I think it's the second win in 11 home games in the league.
That's
We
wild.
hadn't, so I think we beat Man U at home, and then we hadn't won before that at home since we played Villa in November. And that, so it just shows you how few wins we've seen at home this season. It's been pretty bad. So we'll take it. 3 points. And yeah, we've relegated Southampton, one of the worst teams performance wise in the league, in Premier League history. And I would say that you can see that you can tell that Tottenham definitely shine confidence. We've got a lot of our players back now, but there's still something missing. There's still the lack of cutting edge and fluidity about it, and you can see that it's gonna be really important to make that first leg against Frankfurt. We have to take a lead, go into Germany, because I think there's still a lot of fragility there, and yeah, I think it's going to take a big change in the next few weeks for us to be able to do anything in the Europa League. But we'll take the 3 points. It puts us back in 14th, just 1 point behind Man U. Obviously, I would say ourselves, Everton, West Ham, and Wolves are pretty much safe now. I can't see any of
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. 12 points. 12 points from Ipswich to
No,
Wolves.
can't see it. I can't see it. So we will see what happens for the rest of the season. But yeah, we're just playing for pride, trying to get up the table, build confidence, and try to build something for next season. And I think Andrews had a lot of
Stick.
he had a lot of stick. He's had a
Yeah.
lot. He's had to deal with a lot in his press conferences. A lot of
Mm.
questions about things that aren't related to the way that we play football, which is kind of annoying, because I think there's things to be addressed about how we deal with situations in games, but a lot of it is about other things, about our league position, the injuries, the board, previous managers wanting to come back to the club.
Yeah, Poch is out of order for that.
But end of the day, you know what? Postecoglou dealt with it well. End of the day, like, as much as Pochettino said that, one, he's in a job right now where he's not. No one is going to try and take him with the compensation, that the package that apparently would need to be paid to release him. And two, like, I think Ange knows he's not going to be there forever. I don't know how long he is going to be in charge for, but I think I said last week as well. Like, for me, making another change after 2 seasons is it's not going to work. We need to find a way to build, and unfortunately, we don't have. I don't believe we have the right board to back the managers that we've had. But making another change, we're just going to see the same thing happen again. The manager has a good start. We have a decent league position in the second season. It all goes to
so,
pot.
so question, Leon. Yeah, two questions here. If Ange stays on another season,
Hmm.
do you guys finish off better in the league? Do you reckon next year?
And where we are now, or better than
Yeah,
last
then
season?
no, better than now.
100%. I do believe that we wouldn't be as bad as we are now if it wasn't for injuries. I'm not gonna say that we haven't been unlucky with injuries, but I will also say that there's ways and means to deal with the injuries, and the personnel that we do have, I believe that we haven't utilized them in the right way, and then we haven't dealt with situations in the right way. But that's been a problem with Tottenham through pretty much all of the managers we've had. Whenever there's a bit of adversity, like we don't really show enough fight
Yeah.
and show enough grit and determination to
But
battle
that's
through.
because of the lack of leadership in the dressing room as well, though,
100%.
I would say.
Not just the
Yeah.
leadership in the dressing room. It goes all
Yeah.
the way up to the
To
top.
the top.
Like
Yeah.
it's got to trickle down, and there's got to be people holding each other accountable. Like somebody should be holding the board accountable. Somebody should be holding Levy accountable. Someone got the managers all seem to get held accountable because they're the ones that get sacked. It's always them.
Yeah, of course. The
We get
players don't really get held accountable
players.
because, unless they have a bad game or anything like that, they don't really, the tabloids only stay on them for a short period of time. It's not,
Yeah, but even on the pitch, like you rarely see like players like getting onto man when they've made a certain error. Like I understand encouragement, and I understand that you don't want to knock someone, especially if confidence is down. But like it's about making the right decision on the pitch and making sure that people are doing their jobs, especially when we don't have the ball, and that's always a problem. And you see it again today, Southampton getting a what could have been a problem goal because it was 2-1 at that stage.
so
Luckily, it was too late in the game for them to really mount a serious comeback. So
so the thing is, yeah, obviously, I know that people are saying that, the media are after Postecoglou and stuff, but some of it some of it is warranted and some of it isn't. Like, for example, when you were talking about VAR, again, you guys had, Bergval's goal was scored and it took them 4 minutes to decide whether or not it was offside or onside for them to get a goal. I mean, that's ridiculous. What
yeah,
he
I
said in
don't
the
really
conference,
understand. Like when you look at the line, like the line still looked like it was a
bruv,
definitive
it needs
line.
to
It
be
wasn't
it
like
needs to
the
be
line
clear and obvious.
was merged where the blue and the red was crossing over. It was
But it needs to be clear and obvious. Like Angie's been saying, if it's clear and obvious, yeah. Sorry, if it's not clear and obvious, move on.
you shouldn't
Because
take 4 minutes
ultimately,
to decide what's offside, man.
it shouldn't take that long. And I kind of agree with all the money that's being spent and the 3,000 cameras that they got in the stadium to kind of help them with VAR. They got to be able to make decisions a bit more decisively and be a bit more,
100%.
efficient, be a lot quicker. So part that for a minute. I'm just gonna go back to the last pod that we had when I don't know if we kind of got to the bottom of it, but I read that when he made the change last week with Saar and Saar scored, he turned to the fans and was going like that kind of thing. What do you think about that? Is he just goading the fans now? Do you think that's, because on one hand he looks like he's a consummate professional and he's doing things all kind of like, streamline and doing things as they should be, and then the next minute he's trying to goad the same players that he's saying, they're trying to aggravate him. So it's almost like eye for an eye.
He said in his press conference
Yeah.
that he was saying he wanted them to cheer louder. Like that's the gesture that he made. But if I'm being honest, I think he was a little bit in his feelings because of the fact that they booed
The
him
booing.
to bring Bergvall off. And like I understand it as an emotional reaction, and these guys have got to deal with all sorts of things being said to them, booing, blah blah blah. He said that he's been booed many times when he's made decisions, and he's right. We've seen it before when he's made decisions and he's been booed.
Every time you take off Bergvall, he gets booed. Every
It's not
time.
just Bergvall. I think there's been other substitutions that he's brought off, and we're like, why did you bring that one off? We're not when someone else is who's having a mare. But I don't think he was goading the fans. I think he was like, well, what are you gonna say now? He scored. I feel like it was a response to what the fans did rather than it being shout louder. But it is what it is, man. We've seen managers do a lot worse. He's not gonna make himself. He's not gonna do himself any favors by getting on the fans. And
No.
obviously, he does need to be careful with how he responds. But I understand why he did it, and I understand why he's frustrated because a lot of things haven't gone his way. But he also has to take some accountability for some of the things that have gone wrong. And you can hear in his press conferences that he acknowledges that there's been mistakes made.
Yeah.
It's not all just about the injuries. There's been mistakes made along the way, and he has to hold himself accountable. So yeah, I think he was responding to the fans a little bit there.
So
Final
going
question.
back,
Go on.
going back, because I think previously, maybe a couple of months ago, we asked you whether you're out, and I think you finally said
You took it
Ange
off
out.
you took it out of my mouth. That was my next question. That was my
Is
final
it?
question.
But from what you said just now, are you back onto? Well, there's no point Ange out. Just keep
Yeah,
it
I think
rolling for next.
so. At the time when I said that, I didn't feel like I saw enough from him to progress forward. But the problem is, we have a chairman that is sticking to exactly what his principles are. We are going to be a sustainable club. So to me, I don't know any manager that is going to want to come in and deal with what they have to deal with Levy. I don't believe that Postecoglou is such a crap manager that he'll get us relegated. Like, I don't believe that. I've seen enough performances to suggest that he is capable of getting a tune out of these players and being able to and being given some better talent to move with. I believe that he can make a difference, but I don't see the point in, like, the way he's handled a lot of the adversity that he's dealt with this season. We've seen other managers crumble. Like, managers have thrown the toys at the pram. Mourinho's like blatantly said, this it's not this it's not it's this it's different manager, same players or same team or same owner. That's the thing that seems to be the common denominator. We've had Conte just air out everything that was true about Spurs, like not having enough fight, not having the leadership to bring this club to a new age, and has stood on his principles in terms of wanting to bring success to the club. And I admire the fact that he still remains with that same message, and we haven't seen that from a lot of managers. So that's the point which I'm like, at least he wants to still do the job, and even with all
Yeah,
the stick,
yeah.
the booing of the fans, the
Yeah.
questioning of his tactics, the questioning of the board, all of that stuff, he still stood on, I believe I can get a tune out of this. And there's not very many managers that would be able to do that. So for me, it's like, I don't know who else to bring in. What's the point of letting him go whenever we've let a manager go after 2 years, we have the same cycle, and it's been the same cycle since we lost Poch, or we got rid of Poch. And even then, at the time, it was probably a mistake. The truth is, we needed a transition, and we didn't give Poch the time to do that. We said we think someone else can bring these players to the new level, and that wasn't possible
And that's
because
after
Yeah.
he got you to
we
the final
needed
Champions
players.
League.
And
Mad
every
thing.
time we've needed players, we had one of the best strikers in Europe, like, for the last 5, 6, 7 years, and we didn't accompany him with a team to then bring
Yeah.
success. The
Mad.
players that we had were all getting older. The Tobys, Jan Vertonghen, Musa Dembele, those special players were all coming towards an end, and we didn't have a succession plan for them. And it happens a lot with teams that are not quite top level. And I know, I've been ranting on about it, but the truth of the matter is, we don't have any answers. But one thing I do know is the manager that we have wants to stay and try and make a success of the club. So give him a chance. Just don't get us relegated next season.
That's one hell of a
Yeah.
note to leave on,
Stuff like
boy.
that. What you should be saying is sort out your training methods so that
Well,
we don't
not,
get
bro.
too many injuries.
There's so many. There's so many mistakes that he can learn from. Don't rush players back. Don't make people come straight in after not having a proper recovery. Don't put players out of position who can't. Like, don't make them work into it. If they can't play there, don't play them there. Like, just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Trust the youths.
trust the youths, man. They've done a thing so far, so trust them.
Okay, well, I think, to be honest, these young players, Bergvals and Archie Gray, will be better for it next season. Anyway, the struggles they've gone through this season, they would have grown. But we'll leave that there, and we'll end the show as we always do with our match predictions for game week 32. So, as Lamont normally starts, we'll start with you again. You have Newcastle next Sunday
Boy, yeah, nah.
away.
Newcastle got Europe.
Hmm?
Has Newcastle got Europe?
But this week,
Mm.
no. But you have Thursday, innit?
Yeah, no. We're gonna
So
lose,
yeah,
you
so
know.
they got. Oh, I see what you mean. They got
Yeah,
a
you
full
get my
week.
drift. Yeah,
Yeah,
all right, we're gonna
yeah. They're
lose
playing
next
tomorrow
week.
night. But they got a full. They got the rest of the week to prepare for you guys.
2-0 Newcastle.
Jeez, get off the bat. Okay.
Yeah, 2-0 Newcastle, man.
Are they?
Because we got
Are they at home?
Yeah, Newcastle are at home.
Yeah,
Yeah, forget about it, bro.
we got
I've
Europe
already
in the week as
asked.
well. Tired legs, forget it.
Mhm.
So I've already asked Bevan. Bevan says Arsenal going to win 2-0. They are playing Brentford and they're at home and at the Emirates.
Brentford were horrible today, by the way. Oh,
Yeah.
that whole game. Oh, I'll take that back. They weren't that bad, to be fair. They had a couple of chances, but they should have done better. Anyway,
And Leon, your result? Or
You're gonna say
your
Daryl's
result?
first because
Daryl first. Okay,
you put
Daryl
the
said
score that I
2-1
was gonna
Wolves.
say, so I need to think of another score.
2-1 Wolves, Daryl said.
Yeah,
2-1.
I would have put 2-1 Wolves as well, but because Daryl's got there first, I'm gonna go with 2-0 Wolves.
Okay. And I'm going to go 2-0 Liverpool. They're playing West Ham at Anfield.
Okay, fair.
Good to get back home to try and hopefully sweep that under the rug. Today's result, but yeah, 2-0 Liverpool. So yeah, that's it for this week. This has been the Armchair Pundits, and we have had a very mixed weekend. Everyone had a different result. Honestly, out of
Quite
the guys
literally.
here today. But yeah, look forward to next weekend. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, and hit that notification button. Take it easy, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.